Hi everybody, my name is Melanie Newman and welcome to our grooming channel. This delightful little boy is Snoopy. He is a toy poodle, and in today's grooming session I'm going to teach you how to scissor a poodle top knot, so stay tuned. The equipment we are using in today's grooming session is fine tooth comb, Artero double-sided slicker, P&W Blacksmith 7.5 curves, Relax coat conditioning spray, 2 poodle bands. I have pre-clipped his body, so I've clipped his body on a 5F blade and then I've scissored in his cute little legs, so I've only actually got his top knot left. He's also been bathed in our Relax collection. I've left all this coat on his neck area into his wither. So when I've clipped his body, I've clipped from his wither and I've left all this hair on his neck leading into his top knot. And I've done this because I'm actually going to scissor from his top knot into that neck area so we get a nice length of neck happening. So I didn't start my 5 blade from his occiput, I've actually started it from his wither. So we're going to scissor all his neck into his top knot and into his body. When I've clipped Snoopy, I've used a 5 blade, so I've clipped up to underneath his ear leather, and I've actually left hair, so from his pointer shoulder, I've probably left about halfway to the halfway point from his pointer shoulder to his wither, so in the middle, and then I've left hair right down to his wither. I'm going to spray the Relax coat conditioning spray through these ears, and then I'm going to band them because I want to keep them nice and neat. And I find that when I don't band them, that I pick up hair as we're scissoring, and the hair that I put in the bands is the hair that I would like to keep. If your poodle has a longer top knot and you're trying to figure out which hair you're going to keep in the top knot and which hair you're going to keep in that ear, using bands is a good way to separate that hair. Again, using my Relax coat conditioning spray, just going to spritz that through our top knot, and then using my slicker, gently brushing that through our coat and removing any knots and tangles. After our slicker, I'm just going to run my fine tooth comb, just making sure there's no knots and tangles and all the coat is separated well. Once there is no knots in our poodle's top knot, I'm going to comb everything over to one side on the top knot and then following that through to the back of the neck as well. So combing everything to one side. To keep the coat in place while I'm scissoring, I'm just going to spritz the area after I've combed it, and this will keep it in place as we're scissoring. Using my straights, I'm going to scissor on a 45-degree angle. So that's the angle that we're going to scissor on. So I'm going to make my first cut, and I'm only going to cut at the start of the ear leather. And then you will begin to see the start of our clipper line. So our clipper line will be from where we've clipped our poodle's face to where we're scissoring. So we want that line to be nice and smooth and a really nice transition into the top knot. So just using the tips of my scissors and still on that nice 45-degree angle, I'm just going to come in behind his ear. We can even move this ear forward and holding that ear with our hand and following that line right down towards his wither. And then combing everything over to the other side. And I like to use my coat conditioning spray just to keep it all in place. And pop our scissors on that 45-degree angle and cut in front of our ear leather. And if you feel like there's little hairs popping up, you can just pick up your comb and then keep combing it back over to the side. Using our straights to scissor above the ear leather. And I'm still on that 45-degree angle. And moving that ear leather forward and just popping it in my hand as I'm holding his muzzle. And then scissoring towards his wither area. Combing all his hair towards the tip of his nose. Again on a 45-degree angle. We're going to come in at his stop. So his stop is between his eyes and cutting on a 45-degree angle. And then coming around in front of his eyes, still on that 45-degree angle. And I like to comb the hair back down, so just making sure I'm getting all those little bits that I've missed. Just double checking. And this is our basic shape. So once we've scissored in our two sides and the front area, so revealing his beautiful eyes, then we can begin to comb everything up. And then we will begin to round in his top knot and scissor into the back of his neck. When I'm determining the height of my dog's top knot, how much to leave on his head, I prefer that the top knot is taller than the length of the tail. So using my fine tooth comb to comb everything up instead of to the side. Before we were combing to the side, so it combs our top knot quite flat, but now we're lifting that top knot up and making that hair nice and tall and stand up. Using my curves, I'm then going to scissor the top knot nice and round. So I'm just shaping that top knot. And I'm only taking small amounts of coat off at one time. So I'm not coming in and really chopping at that top knot. I'm just taking small amounts off at a time, just so I can start to see a shape, because I want our shape to be nice and round, but I still want a little bit of length left on the top of his top knot. I prefer the top knot to frame the eyes, so when we're scissoring in front of the eyes, we're not going to come in and scissor completely flat. We're going to create a little bit of angulation in that front so it begins to frame our eyes. So we're not coming in straight, I like to scissor a 45-degree angle and coming out and over our top knot. So if you prefer the eye area a little bit shorter, that's fine. We can just scissor that area shorter, but we wouldn't then scissor the top of our top knot shorter. We would blend that in and keep that nice and round. And on that nice 45-degree angle. And we're just developing that nice round shape as we're scissoring. And just taking our time to achieve the shape that we want. I like to use my comb a lot when scissoring a top knot, so this ensures that we're not missing any hair and that everything is nice and even. So our scissor work will be really even and it will be nice and plush. I'm pretty happy with how our top knot is looking in our front profile. So I'm just going to turn his head so we can look at the side profile. So we need to scissor all this hair off of his neck area. So I'm going to just comb that all out and I'm going to pop his head back where he's nice and comfortable, and then from his occiput I'm just going to scissor straight down into his wither area. And just comb everything out again. And then from the back of our skull, so our occiput, then just neaten everything up. Right down into our wither area. And moving our ear forward from our clipped area, so our number 5, we need to make a nice transition into our top knot. So I'm going to comb everything up and then just scissoring a nice smooth transition into our top knot. And when I'm moving this ear forward, I'm not pulling it so it's changing the shape of the top knot. I'm just gently holding it in its natural place. So I'm not actually changing the way the top knot's sitting. I'm just gently moving it forward to keep it out of the way while I'm scissoring at the back of our dog's ear. And instead of coming straight down, I'm going to add a little bit of shape into his neck area. So taking it a little bit shorter on the side of his neck than on the back of his neck into his wither. So we've got that nice transition into his shoulder area. And using my comb to comb everything up and out. I'm going to use my curves and just create a little bit more shape. So as I'm coming from where I've scissored his top knot, I'm going to follow that through into past the back of his skull, down towards his wither area, and making this line a nice transition and a nice curve into that wither area. And using my comb again to comb everything up and out. Another technique to use when we're scissoring the back of the neck area, when we're scissoring from our poodle's top knot into our poodle's wither, is moving our poodle's head down slightly so it's almost level with our poodle's top line, and using our comb to pull everything up. Using our straight, I'm going to come in from the back of the skull, so our occiput, and then just come straight down into our wither. and then on the side of the neck as well, into where we've clipped. So I've clipped from a number 5 from the wither down our poodle's back. Then I'm going to scissor into that area where we've begun to clip, so we get a nice smooth transition from our scissored area into where we've clipped. And we can pop our poodle's head back and then see where we need to scissor. So I need to take a little bit more off this area and then a little bit more off behind the ear. I'm just going to comb everything up and moving our ear out of the way. I'm not moving it so it's going to change the shape of the top knot. I'm just gently moving it out of the way and then coming in behind that ear into where we've clipped. And then using my curves to just round off this area at the back of our poodle's skull. As I'm scissoring the back of Snoopy's neck, I actually like to kind of visualize a V coming towards his wither area. So I would probably take more hair off the side but leave more hair at the back of his neck area and just visualizing that V heading towards that wither area. So putting my scissors on a nice angle and scissoring down towards our wither area. So this will create a nice length of neck for our poodle. If you feel like your top knot has a little bit of a point on the top, pull it all up and grab your scissors and just come along and come at the top of your top knot and just cut that point off. And this will round it into the rest of your top knot. Once I'm happy with the shape of Snoopy's top knot, which I am, I'm just going to use my fine tooth comb and comb everything back out. I'm then going to use my Relax Coat Conditioning Spray just to spritz my top knot, and this will keep all the hair in place for my final scissor. Using my curves, I'm going to go back through my top knot and scissor off any little bits of hairs I've missed and that the comb has pulled out, and this will achieve a nice smooth plush. Use your fine tooth comb to pull out all the hair from where we've clipped our poodle's face to where we've scissored Snoopy's top knot, and making sure it's a nice smooth transitional line, and keep combing it out. And around our poodle's eyes as well, making sure we haven't missed any little hairs, because this is our final go over. And in front of our poodle's eyes. If you're having trouble scissoring that transitional line from the corner of the eye to the corner of the ear, so this is a line that we've clipped in previously, that line there, we can then comb all this out. So hold your ear gently, so we're not pulling the ear so it's changing this line that we've clipped. We're just gently holding that ear out of the way and comb everything up and be really honest and pull everything out with using your comb. And then use your thinners to then scissor that transitional line. When scissoring our poodle top knot, we would like this line from the side of our poodle's top knot to follow through, following on top of the dog's ear, and then behind the dog's ear into our dog's neck. If we have a case where we may have scissored a little bit too much on the side of our dog's head, so that cheek area, we can then use our straights, so popping our scissor on top of that ear and popping it on more of a 45-degree angle, and then just scissor a little bit off just to match this side of our dog's head. So we then get that nice line coming through from the back of our top knot to the front of our top knot. So all we have left is his little ears, so giving it a little bit of a spritz and then using our slicker to comb out any of those little cut hairs that feel like they're knots but they're only little bits of hair that's caught in his ear. Just going to keep his head in a natural position, so I'm not going to move it up or pull it too far forward, just so he's nice and comfortable. And spritz those ears and then comb them straight down. His mum prefers his ears left a little bit longer, so I'm not going to trim them too short, I'm just going to trim those ends off. I like to check underneath our dog's ear area by holding up our dog's ears and using our comb, and anything that is sticking out we can just scissor off. So anything underneath our ear area. When determining what hair you are going to keep in your ear hair and which hair you're going to keep in your top knot, you can comb everything to the side and rest your scissors on the top of that ear leather, and this will give you a really good guide to where you can start your top knot and what hair you are then leaving in your ear hair. I hope you guys enjoyed today's grooming session and thank you for watching. If you guys have any questions, pop them in the comments below and I will definitely get back to you. And until next time, happy grooming.